Marcus never told us what the voice said. Not that night. Not in the hospital. Not in the weeks after, when we were all still calling each other too much and sleeping with the lights on. He just said it had spoken. That it had used his voice. And that he didn't want to talk about what it had said. We respected that. We thought it was trauma. We thought silence was how he was processing it, the broken arm, the cracked ribs, the fall, all of it. We gave him space the way you give space to someone who's been through something they're not ready to name yet. That was our mistake. Space was the last thing Marcus needed. He called me 8 months after the mansion. 2 in the morning, my time. I was awake, I'm always awake now, after everything, and his name on my screen at 2 a.m. didn't scare me the way it would have before October. After the Whitmore Mansion, 2 a.m. phone calls just feel like part of the new normal. He said, "I need to tell you what it said to me in the kitchen. I've been carrying it for 8 months and I can't anymore. But you have to understand something first." I said, "Tell me." And what he told me over the next 2 hours, what I'm going to tell you now, is the reason Marcus is no longer here. The reason I had to identify him. The reason I will never, for the rest of my life, say someone's name out loud in the dark. Because she hears. We knew that. We just didn't know what she does with what she hears. Now we do. You already know what happened in the kitchen. The tapping inside the wall. The lights dying on both their phones. Marcus and Tom standing in the dark listening to something move toward them through the space inside the walls. What I didn't tell you in the first story, what Marcus made me leave out, is what happened after Tom ran. Tom ran. Marcus started to follow. But he stopped at the kitchen doorway because the tapping stopped. Completely. And in the sudden silence, Marcus heard something that froze him where he stood. His name. His full name, first, middle, last, spoken in his own voice from inside the wall. Not the way you'd say your own name. The way someone says a name when they've been waiting a very long time to use it. Slow. Deliberate. Like placing something precious down on a table. And then the voice, his voice, said something else. Something that wasn't a threat. Wasn't a warning in the conventional sense. Was more like information. Delivered the way a doctor delivers a diagnosis. Calm. Clinical. Certain. What the voice said, 2:14 a.m. call. One of the people you came here with tonight is already ours. Has been for a long time. Since before tonight. Since before they knew us. They came here willingly, Marcus. Not because your friend convinced them. Because we asked them to. We needed a door. They are the door. You cannot close a door from the outside. You should tell the others. You won't. But you should. Then silence. Then Tom calling his name from the hallway. And Marcus, who had stood there and listened to his own voice tell him that someone in their group was working for whatever lived in the Whitmore Mansion, turned around and walked out of the kitchen and said absolutely nothing. He told no one. Not that night. Not after. He convinced himself it was the house messing with his mind. That it was psychological manipulation designed to make them distrust each other. That was easier than the alternative. The alternative being that one of us, one of the 5 people who made it out of that house, had been invited in by something that had been watching us long before October. Marcus moved back to Tennessee after the mansion. Got an apartment in a town called Decatur, population 4,000, where nobody knew about the Whitmore Mansion and the local news was mostly livestock reports and high school football scores. He got a job at a hardware store. He put crucifixes on every wall. I mentioned that in the first story, and I told you I didn't know why. Now I know why. He was trying to make the apartment inhospitable. He was trying to make himself a place she couldn't follow. It worked for a while. 6 months of quiet. 6 months of waking up at a normal hour, of sleeping through the night, of almost almost convincing himself that the kitchen wall had lied and there was no door and nobody in their group had been anything other than exactly who they appeared to be. Then the tapping started again. Not in the walls this time. In his floor. Slow and deliberate, from beneath the floorboards of his ground floor apartment, the same rhythm as the kitchen wall. 1, 2, 3, pause, starting at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday in April and continuing every night for a week. Getting slightly louder each night. Getting slightly closer to the center of his bedroom, as though something beneath the floor was tracking his sleeping position. He told his landlord there might be an animal under the building. The landlord had someone look. Nothing under the building. No space large enough for anything to move through. Solid earth and old pipes. The tapping continued. On the 8th night, Marcus sat up in bed at 3 a.m. when the tapping started and said out loud, to the empty room, "What do you want?" He told me the tapping stopped the instant he spoke. And then from directly beneath his bed, from the floor, inches below the mattress, his own voice said, very quietly, "You already know what we want, Marcus. We want you to stop protecting them. Tell Noah what we told you. Tell him about the door. The longer you wait, the more she takes. You know what she takes. You watched her take someone's entire existence. That was just the beginning. Tell Noah. Tonight." He didn't call me that night. He sat in his car in the parking lot of his apartment building until sunrise, with the engine running and every door locked, and he didn't sleep and he didn't call anyone, and he made the decision, again, to say nothing. That decision cost him for more months. For more months of tapping. For more months of his own voice speaking to him from floors and walls, and once, memorably, from the bathroom mirror, which he immediately covered with a bedsheet and never uncovered. For more months of crucifixes and sleeplessness and a man slowly being hollowed out by something that had decided he was the key to something it needed. And then one night in August, Marcus made a decision that I wish, more than almost anything, he had not made. I need you to understand something about what Marcus did next. It wasn't stupid. It wasn't reckless. It was the decision of a man who had been alone with something for 8 months and had finally had enough. I would have done the same thing. Maybe you would too. The Whitmore Mansion had been demolished by the time Marcus drove back to Kellner Road. The development company had cleared it in February, the same company that later sold the land at a loss, the same land that is now just an empty field with an iron gate at the end of a road that doesn't go anywhere anymore. Marcus knew it was gone. He'd read about the demolition. But something had told him, in his voice, from his floor, at 3 a.m., that the field was not empty. That what had lived in the Whitmore Mansion did not require the Whitmore Mansion. That she had been there before the house was built, and she would be there when the last stone was cleared away, and she would still be there when the grass had grown back and no one alive remembered there had ever been a building on that land. He drove for hours from Decatur. He arrived at Kellner Road at midnight, exactly midnight, though he told me he hadn't planned it that way. The iron gate was still there. The field beyond it was dark and empty and quiet. Dead trees on the edges. Ground fog. Moonlight. And in the center of the empty field, right about where the entrance hall would have been, a faint blue light. Low to the ground. Motionless. He opened the gate and walked in. He told me the cold hit him at the property line, not weather cold, not October night cold, but that specific dropping temperature he remembered from the mansion, the kind that comes with a presence. He kept walking. The blue light didn't move. Didn't grow. Just sat there in the center of the empty field, burning in the dark ground where no candle could be burning, patient and still. He stopped about 10 feet from it. He stood there looking at it. And then he said, and this is what he told me at 2 a.m., and his voice when he said it was the steadiest it had been all night, like a man reporting facts from a safe distance. She was there. Not a shape. Not a silhouette. Just a cold. A cold with a direction to it, a cold that came from one specific point in the air in front of me and radiated outward. The candle was at her feet. And I could feel her looking at me the same way I felt it in the mansion, that eyeless attention, that weight of being seen by something that doesn't have eyes. She was there on that empty field at midnight, and she had been there every night since the building came down, and she would be there every night after I left, and I knew, standing there, that this was not a haunting. This was a residency. This was where she lived. This was where she had always lived. He stood there for a long time. And then he said the thing he had driven 4 hours to say. He said it out loud, to the empty field, to the cold and the blue candle and the eyeless attention. I won't tell them. I won't tell Noah about the door. Whatever you think you know about the people I came here with, it's wrong. And I'm done listening to you. The candle went out. The field went completely dark. And then Marcus heard something he had never heard before in any of his contact with whatever lives on that land. Something that was not tapping. Was not his voice. Was not cold silence or the sound of keys pressing down on piano strings in an empty room. It was laughter. Very soft, very close, from directly behind him. A woman's laugh, not cruel, not threatening. Almost gentle. Like someone who has been told something funny by someone who doesn't understand yet why it's funny. Marcus ran to his car. He drove back to Tennessee. He called me 6 hours later at 2 a.m. He told me everything. All of it, the kitchen wall, the tapping, the apartment, the covered mirror, the 4-hour drive, the empty field, the candle, the laugh. 2 hours of a man emptying himself of something he'd been carrying alone for 8 months. When he finished, I didn't speak for a moment. Then I asked the question I had to ask. Marcus, who do you think she was talking about? When she said someone in our group is a door. Who do you think it is? He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I don't know. And I've thought about nothing else for 8 months. I've gone through every person. Every memory of that night. Looking for something wrong. Something that doesn't fit. And I can't find it. Which either means I'm wrong to take it seriously, or it means whoever it is very good at not being found. Another silence. Then, Noah. Be careful. All of you. I don't know who it is. But she does. And she's been very patient. Those were the last words Marcus ever said to me. I heard him exhale. I heard the phone shift. And then I heard, very faintly, before the line went dead, coming from somewhere on his end of the call, a sound I recognized immediately, that I will never stop hearing for the rest of my life. 1 tap. 2. 3. A pause. Then 3 back. The line went dead. I called back immediately. Voicemail. I called 12 more times that night. Voicemail every time, his recorded voice telling me to leave a message, his voice that she had learned to use, that she could wear now like a coat, that she had taken from him in a kitchen in October and never given back. I called Kylie. I called Zara. I called Tom. I drove to Tennessee the next morning. I got there at noon. Marcus's apartment door was unlocked. Inside, every single crucifix was on the floor. Face down. All of them. The bedsheet had been removed from the bathroom mirror. And on the mirror, in the condensation, fresh, recent, still wet at the edges, 3 words written in a handwriting that was not Marcus's. Door. Now. Open. Marcus was not in the apartment. Marcus was not anywhere we looked. The police took a missing persons report. The case is still open. His car was in the parking lot, engine cold, keys on the driver's seat. His phone was on the kitchen floor, screen cracked, battery dead. No signs of forced entry. No signs of a struggle. Nothing missing except Marcus. Marcus. Missing, August 14th. Decatur, Tennessee. Case #TN 2024-08841, open. Last known contact, 2:47 a.m. phone call. No body recovered. No evidence. Nothing. Just 3 words on a mirror. And a door she finally got open. He was my friend. I have thought about nothing else since August. The door. Who is the door? Marcus spent 8 months looking for the answer and didn't find it, and now he's gone and I have 4 people left: Kylie, Zara, Chloe, Tom, and one of them, according to whatever spoke to Marcus through a kitchen wall, has been hers since before the night we went to the mansion. I haven't told the others what Marcus told me. I made that decision the same way Marcus made his, because telling them means accusing one of them. And I don't know which one. And if I accuse the wrong person, I lose them. And if I accuse the right person, I don't know what happens. I don't know if it matters. I don't know if the door being identified closes it or just makes it angry. What I do know is this: since Marcus disappeared, things have changed. Small things. The kind of things you notice only because you're looking for them, because a voice in a wall told someone to warn you and now you can't stop watching. Kylie has started sleepwalking. She's never sleepwalked in her life. Twice in the last month I found her standing at our apartment window at 3 a.m., eyes open, not responding to her name, looking at the street below with an expression I can't describe except to say it doesn't look like Kylie's expression. It looks borrowed. Tom has stopped being afraid of the dark. After the mansion he slept with every light on. I told you that in the first story. Last week I visited him and every light in his apartment was off at midnight and he was sitting in the dark completely comfortably, and when I pointed it out he smiled and said he'd just gotten over it. Just gotten over it. Like fear of the dark is a cold you recover from. Zara drove past the gate on Kellner Road last spring and called me crying because of the new message carved into the post. She was the one who found it. She was the one who happened to be on that road. She was the one who called immediately. Or she was the one who put it there and needed an alibi for how she found it. Chloe hasn't played piano since the music room. That's what I told you. But last week Kylie told me she heard music coming from Chloe's apartment, and when she knocked and Chloe answered, Chloe said she hadn't been playing anything. Caled said the music stopped the instant Chloe opened the door. I am watching all 4 of them. I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know what a door looks like from the outside. I don't know if they know they're a door, if it's something chosen consciously or something done to them without their knowledge, something that happened in a dark house in October that none of us fully understood. What I know is that she has been patient for a very long time. She was patient with Whitmore's staff for years before she took them. She was patient with Whitmore himself for weeks. She was patient with Marcus for 8 months. She waited until he went to her, until he stood on her field at midnight and told her no, and then she laughed. Because she already had what she needed. Because the door was already open. Because whatever Marcus was supposed to warn us about had already happened while he was spending 8 months deciding whether to make the call. The call he finally made. The night she took him. I don't think that was a coincidence. I think she let him make the call. I think she wanted me to know about the door. I think she wanted me to spend my days watching my friends and not knowing which one and slowly losing trust in all of them. I think the warning was the plan. I think I'm already inside something I don't have a name for yet. And I think the only reason I'm still here, still outside, still able to tell you this, is that she isn't finished yet. She's still building something. And she needs me to watch. She needs a witness. Just like she needed Whitmore. I understand now why he wrote on the walls. Not to warn anyone. Not to leave a record. He wrote because it was the only thing left to do. When you know something is coming and you can't stop it and you can't leave and you can't trust anyone around you, you write. You put it down somewhere outside your own head so it exists in the world regardless of what happens to you. That's what this is. This is me writing on the walls. If you are reading this and you know someone named Noah, tell them to stop looking for the door. The door isn't one of the 4. The door is whoever keeps telling the story. I understand that now. I think I understood it when I started recording. I recorded it anyway. She needed a witness. She needed someone to spread the story. She needed more people to know the name. Whitmore Mansion. You know it now. She hears you say it. I'm sorry.